Hey, what's up, everybody? It's a all new episode of Weirdos at Home. Just one weirdo today. Tara Brown, still on vacation. I'm very excited about today's episode. You know, I'm Sam Slade. Today's guest, you can see him at Cap City Comedy Club in Austin, May 19th and 20th. It's Trey Galyon, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hey, everybody. Now, is it Weirdos at Home because of the Austin thing or what? Or you just that was just the name you came up with?
Uh, and in true politician style, Trey, I'm so glad you asked that question. Uh, during the pandemic, my partner Tara and I pretend to be a comic and an actor, and sometimes work on campaigns. She works at a nonprofit, a very important nonprofit working on mental health funding in Texas, which Lord knows we can use as much as we can get these days.
For reals, dude.
So shout out Tara Brown. But we were going nuts, and we were seeing other podcasts kind of pick up and stuff, and we're like, what the fuck? Why don't we have our conversations with guests and put it out there? She's taking a break for a little bit just because when the legislature is in full effect, she's just having to be everywhere. So that means every other year for 4 months, she's overly swamped and otherwise. But so the Weirdos was just the two of us stuck at home during the pandemic.
Oh, right on. And good for her for being on the halfway decent side of politics and not being a lobbyist or something like that.
Well, you know, the irony is I don't want to be this guy that immediately shoots my guest I'm so excited about down. But I think one of our first fights was I found out that she was in fact a registered lobbyist, because she has to be to meet with.
Sure.
But like, to me, coming from like the guy that worked for the Obama campaign twice, like, we're all gonna make it perfect. I was like, what do you mean you're a lobbyist, babe? You never told me.
Yeah, I think that was, as soon as I said it, was like, well, the good side has to have lobbyists too. It's just at this point and the way our system is right now that you say lobbyist and automatically you think the worst possible thing.
Yeah,
You think, oh, somebody who actually can talk to my representative, because
right.
I sure can't.
I mean, no, fuck that. Good luck trying. I mean, you can tweet death threats, but Elon will take them down.
And I don't have the money. I don't have the money for that, man.
Right. It's not getting better in Texas. I envy you for being here during like the heyday of the Rick Perry days. I remember, for a little bit of background for folks, the first night I ever had the balls to get on stage at Cap City, I was 16. I begged Margie Coyle, the former owner, the godmother of Cap City Comedy Club, and I showed up with like probably 12 of my buddies, and we're all like 16, 15 years old. And she said you could bring in 2 friends. So they all rock, paper, scissored it out. And the 3 of us went in, and I did my little set. And you were on stage that night. J.R. Brow was on stage that night. Jimmy Roulette was on stage that night. I think
wow.
John Raybon followed me and just eviscerated me, but I was riding so high, like didn't even hear it. And I kept coming back. And then I remember when I thought I was like really in was when you and me and Fred Bothwell smoked a joint in my Jeep.
Oh, that is not any kind of signal that you're into the comedy scene in Austin.
Oh.
That's probably a very big red flag warning sign.
Well, I didn't go home and tell my parents. Don't worry about it. But I remember sitting there being like, dude, you're in the circle now. And Fred Bothwell was like pointing out my pronoun usage and my adverbs. For those who don't know, Fred Bothwell is he's Rain Man, basically, without all the charm.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody would consider Fred Bothwell in any circle. Fred Bothwell, yeah, heavily on the spectrum, definitely some social issues on how to talk with people, but a really, really very funny guy. But yeah, I mean, and not one of these kind of like, is he on the spectrum or is he not? It's like after you talk to him for 2 seconds, you're like, yeah, this guy is clearly something's up with him.
And you're like, I'm so happy that he got out here tonight, because otherwise, maybe a church something bad would be happening if he wasn't into comedy.
Right. Yes. And that because I used to actually tell him when I didn't see him for like a few months or whatever, I was like, hey, man, I get worried when I don't see you for a couple months because I don't know if like you're building bombs in the garage or what, so I'm glad you peek your head out every once in a while just to let us know.
And then I think when I was interning at the Dudley and Bob show, and then later getting hired because I would let Dale Dudley abuse me at the workplace.
Right.
You came through, and I remember you saw me like dealing with somebody's coffee for like maybe it was like Lewis Black from the Chronicle. I had to make it like perfect, like the dropper, like the right amount of cream. And you were right outside that little door of the kitchen, and you were like, and you let me hit like this joint you had, and I was like, oh, dude, I think I'm still in it. I think I'm still in it. I still have a shot at comedy in this town. But you were always like, you're always one of the coolest ever. I love seeing you. Everything you do. So you're doing your new album here. Is that right?
Well, that's not what's gonna happen. I don't think. And this is the terrible thing is like every time I try to record something in Austin, something happens. Like the one show that we actually recorded was like a few years ago at Cold Town, I think, and the crowd like was very minimal and just wasn't. So the one time I actually got a recording in Austin, I never used it, never saw the light of day because it was like I don't even want to listen to that because I know it's going to be total garbage.
Were you not cool enough for Cold Town or?
Yeah, or whatever. I don't.
I've had that problem in the past myself.
I don't have enough followers on social media. You
got to TikTok harder, my man.
Yeah, whatever.
Or you just send those videos straight to the Chinese government. Either way, you cut out the middleman. I heard you have an interesting conversation. It was from a few years ago with Greg Proops, smartest man in the world, and Doug Benson, who you did his show quite a bit on Getting Doug with High. And
and was on it with Proops. That's right. I was.
Great episode, man. And you guys were talking about just what it takes to get weed legalized in this country. And I think Ohio had just had it up to vote, I guess. But knowing you were coming on this week, I was in Oklahoma over the weekend, and I could not believe how progressive Oklahoma is with weed.
I had no idea till recently, like because Oklahoma's just off my radar as far as that stuff goes. But somebody was like, "Nah, dude, there's some shit going on there," and surprisingly, there is, and it's great. And
apparently you call a guy and you have like a 20-30 minute appointment with a guy, and then you get a medical card in Oklahoma now.
Which is, and this is the state that, like back in the day, there were a shit ton of tattoo parlors and porn stores on the border between Texas and Oklahoma because all the Oklahoma people would come into Texas to get tattooed and get porno mags that didn't have stickers over the
fun stuff
spots.
Yeah. Well, there's still a huge
and now Oklahoma is sitting there laughing at Texas.
What do you think it's gonna? I mean, you lived in Austin for what, like 15 years?
22. Went to high school there.
How'd you end up in Austin?
We moved there when I was a freshman in high school from the Philly area.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Westwood, and then I graduated from Hyde Park. Hyde Park came to me and a couple of my friends, and we're like, "Hey, man, we'll pay for you guys to come to school here, if you'll play sports for us."
Oh, I was going to ask. I was like, I knew it had to be Hyde Park going like, look, we need some cooler kids here.
Yeah.
If it was a full cool kid scholarship, what'd you play?
Football and soccer.
Right on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So got that paid for by them.
Hyde Park, I just drove through our neighborhood. It backs up into Hyde Park, and it's compared to what it was, back in 20 years ago. It looks like a fucking junior college now. It has crazy fields and everything.
Yeah, you're talking about out by the quarries, where the campus actually is, right? Because when I was there, like the school was the church down in Hyde Park.
Yeah,
and we played our football games out at the quarries, and that's where the church did a lot of like youth activities and stuff. But the school wasn't actually there, and so now they have an actual campus out there. It's a trip, and I haven't been yet either. That's something else I keep meaning to do, like but I haven't been to Austin in the fall in a while, but is like actually go to like a football game and go check out all that
that's stuff. So dude, that is so fucking funny that you and a buddy got like picked up for this expansion team.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, but see, that was the great is like they had a really good basketball team at the time, and that was every kid that started on that basketball team, got recruited.
I know there was a
Um,
hot minute where they came to Austin High, or they saw me playing a rec league at Austin High, and they wanted me to go. And then I realized how
yeah.
much church stuff went along with it, and I would be expected to go to class.
Oh, yeah, you did have to go to class.
Where
Uh,
at Austin High, like even as late as like '04 at Austin High, you could skip school for like months and months, and then they're like, "So you're going to be at the game, right?" Like, yeah, I'll be at the game, of course.
oh, that's funny. See, I was never that good,
No, no,
in
it
public
wasn't.
school. I still had to go to class.
It wasn't that I was good, Trey. It was that the administration just wasn't doing its job.
Man. And then I had to retake algebra too because I skipped a bunch.
Dude,
Where
I'm
was
still
that?
under
That was at Westwood, though.
I'm still under academic probation from ACC from 2009.
No, you're not.
Swear to God, I tried to go back, and they're like, "Are you the guy who's tried to take algebra 2 like 5 times and quit?" I was like, "That's me, but I'm ready to turn it around." And they were like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
think colleges were turning down any kind of money now.
I would. Well, this is pre-pandemic. I haven't tried since we lost the good ones. I mean, that's crazy.
That's right.
So what position did you play at in football?
Oh, I played tackle.
Offense?
Both.
Both sides.
Yeah, both sides.
Hey, dude, they
Because it
got
was
away
such a
with that.
small school. That you did that. Yeah. And then like half the season, and then I was also on kickoff too, but they took us, me and a couple other people off that because they were like, yeah, no, you guys like play too many positions. Right,
Yeah,
we can't afford you getting hurt, or we're gonna have to stick
right.
it in some freshman
They can't.
who
Right. They can't get their
doesn't
starters
know what he's
hurt.
doing.
Like
Right.
we did serious recruiting to get you here. We're not going to waste you on kick.
Yeah. And again, this was a private school, a very small private school. Like my class was 40 people. So that's 40 people. That's not 40 people that were on the football team.
Right.
So so the football team roster was pretty slim. So it literally was like you get hurt and they might have to throw in some freshman who's never played, tackle football in his life.
Right.
He's just practiced, sure, but then yeah, so
Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
not again. Exactly. AI Philly dog.
I gotta say, it's really kind of looking at it. And speaking to you here now and admitting it, it's upsetting how often Tara Brown and I around our home, dealing with real issues, will turn to the quote and go, "Not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice,
Practice, man.
practice."
Practice.
So,
I love how long it's lasted. I do. I love the longevity of that whole quote. And if anybody listening hasn't actually watched that press conference, watch it. Allen Iverson, one of the greatest basketball players to ever play. And because that was the thing too, is like he notoriously didn't like practice, and then people were still gonna, bring it up and talk to him.
single-handedly took them to the finals against Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So
But
are
it's
you
so
are you
great.
still a Sixers fan?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All Philly sports, man.
Hell yeah. Y'all having a good run right now.
Yeah, the Sixers are for sure. We'll see. Boston worries me, and then the Flyers stunk it up, and then we just had the draft lottery for the NHL, and we got the 6th pick, I think. So that's not horrible, but it's like it seems like there's a pretty big drop off after the top 2 picks. Like that Connor Bedard kid's going to get picked first by
You guys just
Blackhawks,
signed
which
Jalen
awesome.
Hurts to like the franchise deal of all time.
Dude, whatever. I'm kind of the typical Philly fan in that like so you just decided to pay this guy more than Patrick Mahomes, the guy who actually won the Super Bowl, and the reason we didn't, or potentially the reason we didn't win the Super Bowl, is because that guy that you just gave that huge paycheck to fumbled the ball. Like he was, you could say that he was a main cause. Nobody else made as glaring a mistake like that in that game than him. And now he's going to be the highest paid player ever. Yeah.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's,
he's
to me,
Oklahoma
that's stupid.
Sooner.
Yes. Yeah, we all just forget about his Alabama past
Yeah, right. No,
because
brings that up.
fudge Alabama.
I'll say this: I watched the last game with the Sixers and the Celtics. This Celtics team plays like some like bad guy team from Mortal Kombat with like the mask and the hair and the. These guys are heels.
Yeah, man. But I think they're they're not quite Detroit Pistons in the
No, they're not
90s,
bad boys.
but
They're jobbers.
and that's the thing, dude. It killed me because, like, look, I was born in Boston, so there's a small piece of my heart with those teams, but not override Philly. And Boston, that's the thing, is like they are just sneaky good in everything. You don't realize it, and you're like, oh no, the Bruins are killing it every year. Although they did get toasted this year. They had the best record all time in the NHL, and they got knocked out in the first round, which I thought was pretty beautiful. Because I had just done shows in Providence for 420, and there were a lot of people wearing Bruins gear and being very obnoxious about it. So I was like,
I'm trying to
let's see
wrap
what
my head around
happens.
Boston fans being obnoxious. So give me a second.
Well, again, I'm on the East Coast, so I mean, people say that plenty about Philly fans
When
too.
you said a second ago the true Philly fans about to come out, I thought you were going to start grabbing a handful of batteries and just whipping them at the monitor.
Wow, I don't see Santa Claus nowhere.
Oh!
Or Michael Irvin. What's going on?
Or the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, look, man, those only get whipped out for good reason. It's not like just everybody gets the batteries.
Like we
You
don't want
gotta
to be that.
earn the battery.
We don't
No,
want to be
exactly. But if you earn it, well, you're gonna get it.
the D Volt right to the dome,
Yeah. Well, at least we don't kill people like Raiders fans and shit.
or Ravens players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
we watched the Ravens. They just did this big like ceremony for like the 25th anniversary or whatever, the Super Bowl. And the whole time I couldn't get past the fact that like, so no one's going to bring up that Ray stabbed a dude in an alley like 5 times a year to the day before they won. And they had to like come up out of the floor like Vanilla Ice. Just, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah. No. Why? And ruin the moment?
Yeah, why break it up, dickhead?
Come on, Sam. What are you thinking here? That's not we. And really, who knows all the details of what happened, Sam? Were you there, Sam?
I can't say I was.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you heard about the Austin serial killer?
Dude, so I mean, this is gonna be a spoiler for anybody that comes to the shows, but you didn't come to the Velveeta room last year, did you?
No, I missed that.
Okay, so since I did live in Austin for so long, I obviously feel free to just brutalize it. And one of the things that I mentioned was when I knew that Austin was really gone, really, really gone, when one of my friends who had never been there before came back to New York, and we were talking, and he was like, dude, Rainy Street is awesome. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? Rainy Street is like not go territory. Like there's nothing for you on Rainy Street. And he was like, no, there is. There's like a bunch of bars over there now and restaurants and stuff. And I was like, that's bad news, Magoos. Like that's like building on an Indian burial ground. Like something bad is gonna happen. Like go bury a dead crackhead over there and see if he doesn't come back to life. Like, and then turns out somebody's murdering people, right? And dumping them in the lake or
Town
the
lake,
river
yeah.
that's a lake, the town lake, the Ladybird Lake, but it's really the Colorado River.
Yeah,
Yes.
but don't swim in it and don't eat fish out of it. And if you do have a body, there's no serial killer. Poor Kirk Watson is mayor again for like the first time in 25 years. And this dude got elected to clean stuff up, and he ditched his job as a state senator and thought, I'll just go home to being my old nice gig as Austin mayor. And
Well, are you serious? That's a real thing?
yeah, Kirk Watson's mayor again. And he's out in front of this, but they won't say shit about anything. And they're like, another not connected body on a Saturday morning.
Come on, dude.
Dude, there's media outlets in London and in Australia covering this, going, when are they going to address Austin's serial killer?
What's the count up to now?
Let me see real quick. I can find out real quick.
I think the last thing I saw was 5.
Let me
Is
see.
that right?
Here's what's funny is Tara is on this case like Russ Cole, McConaughey, and True Detective.
Yeah.
And she's in all these women's Facebook groups that are like going through the details all weekend on these Facebook groups. And I have to tell her, like, detective, until you have something real, don't come in this man cave.
Yeah.
Until you have something to put on my desk, I don't want to hear about it, detective.
Facts.
You get out there and find something. She's gonna respond to me right now. I wanted to ask her because she's like on the front end of it, but I know it's over a dozen so far, Trey.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, and it's
come on.
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, dude, it's almost on time every Saturday morning.
Oh my God. It's Leslie, dude. Leslie is not dead.
Leslie never died.
No, went into hiding under the bridge with the bats. And
Leslie, and I think, you know what it times up? Leslie's death and Ted Cruz's ascendance. Just throwing this out there. Leslie died right around the same time Ted Cruz blew up. I'm just saying. Okay, we'll pitch other stuff. I'm just, you know how many people, Trey, don't have any idea who you're talking about? Like, I mean,
oh yeah, no, right, yes, I'm aware. Yeah, like you got to be old school to know that one for sure. So that's gonna date some people.
So Tara Brown, Detective Brown,
yeah,
with her theories, says the facts are 13 in the last 4 years,
okay,
5 in the last 2 months.
Yeah, man. See, I told you, Rainy Street. It's all because you guys built on Rainy Street and tried to make it some fancy place to go to. No, dude, that was better left as a fucking murder, a whole dead end of a street.
How about this? How about this? Every victim so far has been a very academically successful male.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, they've all been very much either just graduated a master's degree, undergrad, but like top of their class. So there's a through line through that. I think we're about to
women
out on this podcast.
There's no women have been killed.
Not a single one. It's all been men, either, and all in good shape. Nobody who looks like us. We're
dude.
safe.
It's the ghost of the chain drive, or is the chain drive still open? I don't even know.
I don't know.
But that was over in that area. Oh, I won.
Oh, it's a whole thing. And poor Kirk Watson, just like, guys, I just got reelected like 3 months ago. Give me a break.
And he's got enough to worry about. Yeah, and then what's going on with and then APD's got some stupid thing going on right now too.
Dude, APD. Here's an example of how APD's doing. 3 or 4 months ago, before we moved into this place, we had an apartment, which is in the Arboretum, which you would think would be okay. You know, like growing up, you'd go like, wouldn't it be great someday to live in the swanky Arboretum apartments, you know, like in the 90s? Yeah. And Tara had her car stolen at 2:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday out of our parking spot.
You got to be kidding me. And I'm assuming since you have an assigned parking spot, like this apartment complex is gated. Yeah.
It should have been. Yeah. They're like, ooh, there's something wrong with the gate. So this is how APD is doing. They send out 100-year-old detective who's in his uniform. He's not in street clothes. He parks waiting to call us. We are like, where are they? We look, we see him. Tara walks up to the driver's window and taps on the window to get his attention. He's playing Fruit Ninja on his phone.
Yeah, of course he is.
Then he gets out and he looks around and goes, "Is this where your car was?" I go, yeah, this is. Well, it's not here anymore. Apparently, it was stolen.
The guy literally said that?
That's what he said to us. So he goes, well, we'll work on it. We'll give you a call if we hear anything. So like 3 nights later, Terry gets a call at 11 p.m. And it's an APD guy who says, hey, we found your car. This is Terry Brown. We found your car. Just come on down here to South Slaughter in 35 and just come and get it. And wear something revealing. And don't bring your boyfriend. And we'll send you home. And she was all excited, and I had to. as a kid who's son of a lawyer, I had to go like, I didn't remember much, but I remember that's not how that works.
Yeah, how revealing are we talking here?
No, 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 no. I mean, just like it doesn't seem like they weren't not gonna fuck her, right?
Yeah. No, completely, because that's how those work. Although I mean, it was the APD and not like a tow yard, right? A tow yard can really, like, they have no regulations
Oh, a
over
tow
that.
yard, you'll never be seen again at that hour.
No, like tow yard, I treat the people that work at tow yards with way more respect than I treat the cops, for sure. Because I don't care how mad you are at them for towing your car. It was your fault for parking it somewhere it shouldn't have been. And listen, they ruled the world. You have to be nice to those people. There's no argument that you can throw out that's going to change things. So just forget it. Don't get mad at the tow people, everybody. Your life will be much happier and go a lot smoother if you do not get angry with the toll people.
The guy can be cross-eyed with another like head growing out of his neck, with
Yeah.
overalls, with a full dip in his mouth, and you'll treat him like Colin Powell. You'll be like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir."
Yes. Yes, with respect and dignity. And yet, yes, I would please very much like my car back. How many American dollars do you need me to put on this counter right now for that to happen? Period. That's it. That's it.
I know at
It
least
is scary how much power those tow yards have over your car. Like, that's it. They're the ultimate power.
it ain't crazy how little regulation has ever gone into tow yards. Like they're the same they were in the 50s.
They can charge whatever they want, and there's nothing you can do
And
about
there's
it.
no hiring guidelines. There's no like HR.
No, and it's usually a family-run operation, and it's a very tight-knit family, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
Generally,
yeah. We're talking kids being born with like fists coming out of their ears. Uh, it's amazing. So I ask you this: you got out of Texas
uh-huh.
just in the nick of time, but I know you loved it, or Austin at
I
least.
feel like I did. I feel like I feel like I got the last of the good years in Austin.
I
I
think
do feel lucky that way.
I don't know if you know about this new guy we have. His name's Greg Abbott.
No, never heard of him.
Everyone in town wants to shove him down a hill in that wheelchair.
I mean, I mean, it, the game is becoming so obvious with politics now that it's starting to become more surprising that more people aren't getting really upset and coming together and being like, hey man, do you realize that we need to stop fighting each other and start fighting these assholes, and so maybe we should work on getting that plan together.
It's dude, Trey. It's having worked in politics myself. It's amazing that a guy like Beto. First of all, uh, it's amazing that Rick Perry made us miss W, and that Greg Abbott made us miss Rick Perry. Uh, by the way, Rick Perry dodged out of Trump's administration when he started smelling a hint of shit and just quit and just took off. It was like, I don't know, man. I worked there for a couple of weeks. I don't really like anybody. Uh, but you're right. It's not an art anymore. Like it used to be, the Republicans would really be a sophisticated targeting thing, and now it's just, hey, Beto's a fag. Is that what you want to do?
Right. And I think it is. It's because there's so much money involved and entrenched in the system now that it's like these politicians less and less have to worry about appeasing us. You know, they ride that very thin line, and they keep testing where that line is with everything, not just with this, but like, how far can we push these people before they start pushing back? So let's take them right to that line.
And
And it's
too often we don't. It doesn't get
right.
attention anymore.
And so then you end up with a bunch of Ted Cruzes and Marjorie Taylor Greens and whatever.
How about that? I love the guy in Florida that's starting a fucking fight with Disney.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm sorry, what? You're gonna start a fight with who?
Well, and part of it too is like people need to realize, like, hey man, like, okay, first off, why do you hate that person? And just speaking in general terms here. And is what you hate about that person affecting your day at all? Does it have anything to do with the outcome of how your day is going to turn out? And if it doesn't, not your pig, dude, not your farm.
That's
So
right.
stay off the property,
Not
you
your,
know? And
as my
again,
mom used to say, not my monkey, not my circus.
there you go. Same. Yeah. Right.
Same thing.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Yeah,
I
man.
mean, it's
And
just
because
crazy.
they want us to. That's the other thing. Is like they want us to be mad at each other over stupid stuff. And so every time you do that, well, you just done been had by
Right.
them.
No, what
And
is
remember that.
Dennis and Mac on Always Sunny? We don't get got. We done get got. We get got like this. I just
Uh-huh.
asked you, where did you show up on that show at one point?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I
At one
wish.
point, at one point, I didn't know. At one point, there's a Super Bowl episode, and there's a dude playing like a quiet stoner dude with a Phillies hat or an Eagles hat on, and he not a lot of lines, but a lot of physical comedy stuff. And I was like, I swear to God, it's Trey Gaylon.
Oh man. No, I really wish because that show does speak to me on a few different
They're
levels.
missing out. You know what?
And they're still killing it. It's
What
crazy.
and it's been like I think it's run now twice as long as Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's still really, really funny. Like you keep waiting for it to kind of taper off. And then every new season that comes out, you're like, nah, man, they're still doing it. And it's not like, I mean, it's game changing as far as like how long that series is run, but it's not like they keep reinventing themselves every season. They just have good, solid writing and they know what they're about and how to and do it and do it and
What
kill
I
it.
want to ask you as a Philly kid and a Gen
Yeah.
X kid, that's what I was going to say. What I was always jealous hanging out at Cap City with you guys was like, fuck, I wish I had been Gen X. Does does Always Sunny does it still have the Philly flavor?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, just as far as like
Yeah, just as a
the outside stuff that goes on, the stuff that they interact with.
yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's pretty on purpose. Rob McElhenney doesn't seem like he's a big idiot, He knows what he's doing. And I think this is one of those things where he's had this cooking in his brain for a long time. And so I think it's also fun for him to be able to kind of show that Philly pride in that way too. Yeah, man.
I really want to pitch well, come full circle here. Junior high school, I had been skipping a lot of school at Austin High, and truancy we had heard it was going to catch up to us.
Uh-huh.
It didn't until I was like in my 20s, and I got called into court, and I was like, and they go, "What the fuck? You're not in high school." And it went away. But there was a make 'em up school. I say make 'em up because it was like a make believe school in the annex building of Hyde Park in like 0304. It was called Huntington, Surrey. And
Yeah.
do you remember that?
No, yeah, because it was around before then too. I had a buddy that went there from Westwood,
Yeah.
and I just randomly he ended up going to Huntington, Surrey, and I went to Hyde Park, and so he was my ride for most mornings.
Oh my God. I can't believe
Props to Derek. Yeah.
Derek. I'll buy you a drink, Derek, or your beverage of choice.
But yeah, so that was in the 80s. So Huntington, Surrey existed then, and it was somewhere in that area. I don't think that it was in a Hyde Park Annex building at that time, though.
Okay, so they end up there, and
Yeah.
I get a whiff of you can go there and your truancy will be taken away, kind of.
Yeah, word.
So much truancy that as a junior, I ended up being a freshman.
Oh, no way. No way. They subtracted days off of you.
Yeah,
They were like, no, we're bumping you down. You don't have to just make these up. We're actually bumping you down.
yeah. So
That's
now
not
I'm
right.
so now I'm Randall McMurphy from Cuckoo's Nest with a bunch of private school kids. Like leading this charge of like the Iraq war is starting. I'm all like, come on, who wants to have democracy? They long story short, they didn't invite me back. You had to be invited back. You would get a long form letter at the end of the school year. They didn't invite me back because I had a condescending sense of humor that they didn't care for.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
To which I'm going like, how did my parents ever fall for that? My mom's a teacher, my dad's a lawyer. Like, if I was that good of a fucking scam artist, I wish I had put it to something real.
Yeah, and that's a trip. Like, I mean, you know me, and I never had any problems at Hyde Park. But it wasn't Huntington, Surrey. It also
Yeah.
wasn't a like bad kid school.
No, but you were treated like Micah Parsons though.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I did like my graduating class was Michael Brown, who's Jack Brown's
Yeah. The if you're
kid.
not from Austin, the dry cleaning godfather.
For real.
No, but for real.
Yeah, like in the 80s, they had a basketball court in their house.
Indoor, yeah.
Yeah. And then, some other of the elite.
What do you miss most about that era of Austin that we're talking about just not being around anymore?
I mean, I think it really did. It was still small enough, population wise, that like you could go downtown every weekend and number one, feel safe, but number two, you would always, no matter what night of the week you went downtown, you'd always run into somebody that you knew, multiple people that you knew.
Right.
And yeah, that's just completely gone now. It's a monkey circus down there now.
I think the last great moment I had of running into somebody that I knew was a few years before the pandemic. Do you remember Beto from KLBJ? It's fine. He's still there. He's
well, remember, I got kicked off of that show, the morning show, back in the day, and like never,
What?
I've been back. The last time I went back was a couple of years ago and did Bearden's show.
Why did you get kicked off of Dale and Bob?
Oh, because they thought I was being it is a whole thing.
Well, hey, if it makes you, I was fired too. I was fired.
No, it was my first week middling at Cap City, and I had come up as an opener at Cap City, and so part of the things is like as an opener is like a lot of times you picked up the headliner from the airport, you took him to morning radio if you could, that kind of thing. So I was kind of one of the morning radio people. Like I would pick up the comics and take them to morning radio. So being an opener, well, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, and so took a lot of guff from those guys and kind of was their whipping boy for a while.
I know how it was.
KLBJ,
I was an intern at
right. Yeah, so you got it way worse than I did. So I got my first week middling and went in there with the comic, and I was like, well, I'm going to play this different now because I've moved up a level, right? I'm not the guy you step on anymore.
Hey, I don't know if you heard, I don't shine shoes no more.
Right. That's what you got your intern and your newsboy for, right? And so Dale wasn't having it, and you could tell early on, but I just kept on with it. And then,
good, dude. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And so then the breaking point was, and this is just the stupidest thing, but I burped. I'm a gassy dude anyway. It wasn't like I was intentionally trying to burp on the air.
I was in the room when this happened.
And then, so they blew up, and Dale was like, that's it, you're done. And then I was like, what, over that or whatever? And then Charlie Hodge stood up and said something, and I told him, I said, sit down and shut up, you jackass towel boy. And then they were like, that's it. And then Charlie got up and started walking over towards me, and
he's all of 5'7", $160, so get ready, bro.
Right. And for anybody that doesn't know, I'm like 6'1".
No, you're a big dude. You're a tackle on both sides. And by the way, I like to call him Andrew Westercom. He was the one who threw the fit that I was coming for his job and that my bits were threatening his. So anyway, this paper dog, I'll tell you where he is. I found him on Twitter. I try my best to troll him. I can't get a response. He does financial advice.
Oh.
So if you need financial advice, call it a failed paintball karaoke host.
Yeah, I'm good.
So I can't believe
I don't have any money anyway.
I was there that day, and he has to walk behind Bob to get to you.
Right. And then gets right up on me. And I was like, hey, man, you really shouldn't touch me. And then Bob grabbed me and was like, hey, let's go into the other
Which
room.
Fonseca
The
was
little
always the ultimate calmer downer.
right. And so sat in there till the end of the show, you know, and then took the comic back. And then as soon as I got home, I got a call from Margie, who
No, yeah,
ran the comedy club, and she was like, hey man, what were you doing? Like, we take comics in there regularly and we can't have you ruining that. So I gotta can you.
no.
And so yeah, she canceled my first middle week before it even started. And then I think
Dude.
it took me at least 2 years to get out of the doghouse with them.
Dude, they
Yeah.
had when I was a new
And
intern
then that KLBJ didn't. Like I said, the last time I went back to KLBJ Studios was when I did Matt Bearden's afternoon show.
and with was probably CJ Morgan, and they were probably cool as fuck.
Yeah, it was just Bearden and then what's her name? The other hot damn, why can't I'm so bad with
Oh, it's
names. I
fine.
can see her face. But she did the afternoon show with him for a little while. She's the girl that she's lived everywhere. I forget her. She's lived up here.
My
San
moment like
Antonio.
that at the same time was they did the pregnant bikini contest, and they kept telling me to go as crazy as possible because I'd done Edward 40 hands on the air underage.
Oh
I
wow.
drank 4, and they were like too hard, and I was like, "That's what you said you wanted." So we do pregnant bikini contest at the end of the night. I'd been doing mics there. And I can't remember the name. There was a manager there who was a really nice dude. Was it Scott, maybe, at Cap City? Kind of a country.
Yeah.
Was it Scott?
Yeah, little skinny dude kind
Yeah,
of.
skinny white dude.
Yeah.
So we'd done the whole pageant shit. I'm dressed like a baby in a diaper and a big, but I'm yoked because I just came out of high school basketball. And I didn't know who he was, and they caught me drinking, which I was kind of known for all day. So they go, hey, you need to don't ever show your face here again. And I mouthed off something like, I don't know, it was something bad as far as like, don't think you're ever coming on KLBJ again, motherfucker. Well, they fired
You
me.
didn't have that pull. You
No,
didn't have that
I was
pull.
19. I wasn't even hired yet. I'm still working for free. So Dale fires me on air the next morning. I get shook awake by my dad, who stole Charlie Hodges' date that night. Took some Asian date of Charlie Hodges home with him.
Oh,
And I had to get a ride from, I don't know who, maybe Doug Millard drove me home. But I wake up and they're like, you got fired. And like a month later, Dale messaged me, come back. And then it's my picture was up behind the bar at Cap City for like 2 years. Do not serve this man. Don't let him see a show. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I'll go. So I tried it like 5 or 6 times to take a date to a show there. And every time somebody would tap me on the shoulder, like 5 minutes into the headliner and be like, come on, man. You know the deal.
I didn't know that.
So I had to go to Margie and just beg and plead and be like, I'm not that person anymore.
Kiss the ring.
Yeah, in a big way.
Sorry, man.
No, I got to be a loser morning radio guy. I'm sorry that happened to you, man.
Oh, hey, you know, it was another thing. Like, again, the only thing I wasn't bummed about any of the radio stuff or not being able to go back to KLBJ. It was,
Yeah.
I was bummed about the gig. I was like,
yeah, right.
I can't
That's what
believe
matters.
that
Yeah.
I just cost myself my first middling gig at my home club, which, you know, is a big milestone in the comics, or was back then. I don't know how it works now.
I don't think it works like that anymore, but I know
being
at the time, it was walking in as an open micer. It was very clear what the hierarchy was. It was very clear the guys who were getting ready to pop. And you guys were, J.R. Brown, like I said, I named some names. You guys were always like the cool seniors. You guys were always really good to me. I know I kept coming back because you spoke to join me, and Jimmy Roulette told me I was spitting gold, but to stay in school.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, yeah, but that whole crew there in Austin at that time was great. Chris Fairbanks is up here in New York right now. I've been able to hang out with him the last couple of days, and then Brendan Walsh and Jim Hamilton.
Oh my God, dude!
David Huntsberger and Michelle Balloon.
Huntsberger
and Martha Kelly was here for a while, and
it's an all-star list.
I mean, it's really bananas just to think about yeah, the people, the crew that I got to do comedy with there in Austin.
I
I
always
mean,
forget about
really
Huntsberger.
lucky.
Huntsberger's everywhere now. I mean, he pops up on podcasts and stuff. You do too. Uh,
Yeah.
you just said somebody that made me go way back. It wasn't
Chuck
Fred Bothwell.
Watkins.
Uh, uh, so you
And
did
then
what?
Dougie Millard came in at the end of that too.
That's what I was
Yeah,
saying.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, did you guys? That was back when you like were really working to get those spots to middle and even to open. Was it like it was
Oh
kind of
yeah.
based on the Comedy Store, the way it worked, right? Like Margie kind of had her own system.
Yeah, yeah. So it really was. So then, back then there weren't nearly as many venues. I mean, the only places in town were Cap City and the Velveeta Room.
That was
So
it.
then that was like, yeah, you do the Velveeta Room open mic every Thursday, and then you'd go hang out on the weekends at one or the other or both, and meet the comics that were coming into town and things like that. And then yeah, really just try to work the scene. Like it was a while before bar shows became a thing, and it's not like once bar shows started there was 20 of them. It was like there was one, and it would be at like Dirties or Nasties one night, and then it would be and then it'd get moved to somewhere else, some other shitty bar for a while, and things like that. And then so then you really had to work on getting road work, but then it's like you're doing a two-nighter in Midland, or you're doing a one-nighter down on some
Amarillo or
border
fucking
town.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's
So it was a
who's
lot of that.
somebody you've opened for some pretty big comics over the years. Who's somebody that you go, man, I learned a fucking lot from them.
I mean, and not even you get um okay. In different ways.
Yeah,
Ron White was one of the first guys I ever opened for at Cap City back before the blue collar stuff.
yeah.
And he was just amazing watching him work a room and knowing that, like, back then it was the act that he had been doing for years and years and years. Like, that was his club act, that's what they called it. And so he'd probably been doing the same act for, I don't know, 15, 20 years or
But there
whatever.
was no YouTube to go like, we've seen this shit.
Right. Right. So to see him work a room with that set, it was pretty amazing. And then like Greg Giraldo, getting to work with him there in Austin. And
Yeah, was
seeing
he an
how he
intense
worked.
dude? Was he pretty intense?
No, he was super
Really?
nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was very, I mean, really humble, nice guy. These are all guys that just Mitch Hedberg was the same way. Dave Attell is the same way, where they come into town and they just want to hang out and with comics, and they are that comedy lifestyle, comedy. They love comedy just as much as we do, and they want to be around people that love it just as much as they do. Does that make sense? I
Yeah,
know
I
that
mean, it
was,
makes sense
I
to
said
me.
the
I,
same
I
thing
hope
twice there, but
I hope for the tens watching it makes sense.
Data Gould's another fun one to watch in clubs if you're a comic,
Dude,
to
that
see
thing,
the
that
way
that Planet of the
he
Apes
works
thing
his
he's doing these
material.
days is mind blowing.
Yeah, dude.
Have you
He's
seen that
really
thing?
incredible. I don't know specifically what you're talking
So he
about.
has a full makeup team do him up as Dr. Zaius from Planet of
Oh,
the
stop.
Apes. And it is the makeup from the 1968 Planet of the Apes. And then he does the voice and he hosts a late night show as Dr. Zaius. And it's called like Dr. Z's Hangout or whatever.
Oh, no way.
Dude, it's incredible because he wrote the Dr. Zaius musical on Simpsons.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so nobody's fighting him over it.
Oh, wow.
But just like the
Yeah,
hours
yeah,
that
I
it
love
takes
that.
to get into it.
That's amazing. And he's another one, super nice guy.
Uh,
Uh, uh,
I remember I always was stoked when you'd come in, and then I think at the time the three that I was really starstruck by were it was a few years later where Ron had blown up. It was Ron and then like Stanhope and Rogan.
yeah, man. Stanhope is great. Just because he's that very much that Oh, isn't he going to be in Austin? Never mind. Sorry.
Well, is he
He's
going to be in
there.
Austin when you are?
No. He's going to be, but he's going to be in Austin sometime soon there.
I got to go see him.
Um, because Stanhope is raw. Like Stanhope doesn't care. He's not trying to get on TV. He's not trying to sell a sitcom. He's not trying to get into movies. He's trying to do stand-up comedy and destroy his body in any way that he possibly can.
As violently as possible.
And is a very, very funny human being. But that one's a particular style. And you could see why first off, yeah, you're not going to fit 5 minutes of his on TV anywhere, not on broadcast.
I know when I was hanging out at the open mics and
anywhere where they
you
have
guys
standards.
talk and trying to hear you like eavesdrop into like this cool seniors conversation at Cap City when I'm like 16, 17, I heard Stanhope mentioned and I got into Stanhope and then I decided, well, I'll do that. And the thing is, you can't do Stanhope when you're 16 and 17.
No, it's like the Bill Hicks thing, because especially if you start comedy in Texas, Bill Hicks is a big influence, and you have to go through that phase of trying to mimic them to realize that yes, that is something that you cannot do.
And then maybe life gives you the shit and dumps the shit on you that maybe you can come out.
Well, you have to realize where to put it, and it's the same with every comic that you admire on that level. It's where you figure out where to put them as far as influencing your material, not your material becoming like them, but you finding your own voice and using that person.
So who were some of your big influences coming up?
Yeah, man. So I mean, it was all those guys that you would get to see at Cap City and hang out with, the Hedbergs and the Attels and Geraldo and.
But like as a kid, when you're growing up in Philly,
dude, well, that sucks because it's like it's the one guy, that everybody would say but can't say now or won't say now. Like I can't. No, you can't. I can't listen to him. I can't listen to him anymore, man.
I can't even hear an impression. Somebody had a great joke on Big J's radio show the other day that said, "You realize if how low the reoffending rate is if you put somebody back to work." Like that's a fucking funny joke, but it's not when you realize how crazy it is that he got out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yes. Just like, wait, what? Like that was some politician shit, Like, how did you pull that off, dude? I'm gonna die soon. Yes, so.
They all are.
Yeah, exactly. He's not or no, it was some technicality garbage, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he got some really, really slick new like young Jamie Foxx lawyer who came in there and
Right. So he got out on a technicality. That's like, people saying, well, Michael Jackson didn't rape any of those kids because he never got convicted. Okay, well, you realize the reason he never got convicted is because he doled out enough money to make those go away before it ever even came to that point.
And you know who never got off on a technicality? Theo, when he took the car out too late, never was able to pull the technicality.
That was the thing about Cosby, dude, that stung so bad because I think everybody did. You were like, this guy is like a dad to all of us. And he lied. He was that deceitful with all of us. Like that stung on a different level to where you're just like, all right, dude. Like not only did you do that horrible thing to all those women, but you did a horrible thing to not equally as horrible thing to us, but just in deceiving us and making all of us believe and putting on that grin and that stupid smile the whole time when you had this dark secret.
Do you think there's anybody in even media, comedy, movies, whatever, these days that even have close to that reputation as Cosby, to where they're like above human good person? So I think, you have like Robert Downey, who we know went through shit. And now we're like, oh, he's Iron Man. But I can't think of anybody who's so fucking clean that we're all like, hang on, he's speaking. Let him finish.
Regan.
Yeah, but Brian Regan's not touching. Brian Regan's not going out preaching to people.
No, yeah, fair enough. Right. And didn't have like the #1 sitcom
Why was he
in
never a
the
sitcom
country
guy?
forever.
Had not made sense to
You'd
me.
have to ask him that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because he's like, I don't want that. I want to just keep performing sold out arenas or theaters,
I
which
feel like also I
that's
feel
what
like,
I would do. I'd be like, no, I love doing stand up. Let me do stand up. If
so
I
is
can make a
this,
bunch of
so
money
this,
doing stand up, let me do that. I don't need to be on TV because people still, enough people know me that I'm still selling out theaters.
hang on, Trey, let me pitch you something.
Yeah.
Enough the big streamers come to you with a shit ton of money.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
want to do a streaming show
Mhm.
starring a comic about a private school football coach and his life. You're not interested?
Uh, What, like a fictional?
Yeah.
This is like a Friday Night Lights thing.
Well, that wasn't ever a comedy. Good Lord. They named the star after my buddy who died of an OD. That wasn't fictional.
Yeah, I never watched that because it was like that. What I lived that. I played high school football in Texas at the time when about
yeah.
that
Well,
book
I
was
was so
written.
offended that they named it after my buddy who died like a year before the show started. And I was an extra for like years on that show. Just in football pads, just fucking uh but I think Coach Galyon, you call it Coach Galyon or Coach Trey?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say Coach Galyon. Yeah,
Coach
I like the
Galyon.
ring of that better.
Is it set in Texas or Philly?
Ooh, I think I'd do it in Texas. I not either that or I'd just split the difference between both and do it in
Here's
Texas.
my pitch. You were an assistant for the Eagles. You go through a divorce. The only offer you get is to coach this private school in Texas.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like what's his name? I can't.
And Ted
He's
Lasso.
so bad.
Everything's like Ted Lasso now.
No, I was gonna say the guy that played for the Eagles and then but is from Texas and the Delaware sub shop owner guy.
Oh yeah, he used to come through KOBJ all the time with soggy Philly cheesesteaks for us.
Yeah, man. I mean, they were the best cheesesteaks in town
It was the
for a
best you could get in
while.
Austin.
Yeah, Texadelphia is garbage. People, is Texadelphia still around?
I think they went under.
Okay, good because that was like dog food.
I
Just don't
tried
go
it.
to Texadelphia if they're still around.
I
They're
gotta say,
horrible. That's
my
not a
20-year-old
cheesesteak.
my 20-year-old pug a few years ago before he passed loved some Texadelphia.
Really?
Hey, he's a dog.
Yeah, it's dog.
It's dog food.
So good.
So do you have any interest in acting or like doing anything like that? Because I've always so admired the guys who are like, no, man, it's fucking being silly on stage with a microphone.
Yeah, I think it would have to be the right thing, like doing some sketches with some friends or stuff like that. I'd be down for that. But like to move out to LA and start going to auditions and stuff, like
That sucks.
I'm not gonna do that.
No,
I that's not I love stand-up comedy.
they'd have to come to you, and I think more often than not.
Right. Right. Yeah.
What's
And
crazy?
and not in a cocky way either. That's like when he's saying that people that aren't familiar with show business, that's just like, I happen to get the right agent at some point that has the right kind of friends, and then they come to me and they're like, hey, do you want to play this role instead of,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
totally
that's
rubbish.
I'm dealing with like this kind of inner turmoil right now. I'll tell you more about it when I see you in Austin when you're headlining May 19th and 20th at Cap City Comedy Club
At the Red Room, they
at
got some,
the Red
you
Room.
know, the Red Room, yeah, because so there's a internet famous person in the big room.
Well,
They always
I
drop me.
heard they may not make it. We'll see.
No, I think they'll probably be all right.
They may not make it. I'm kidding. I don't want to.
What was that?
No.
Yo, Sam, what do you stop?
Nothing. No, Lord knows. No. Just
Jeez, dude.
but I went through this thing where I got right out of the pandemic. I hadn't done acting in years. They hired me to be like a funny character on Walker, Texas Ranger that they were shooting here with the new sexy young Walker. And I was basically like the Swedish chef, and I was playing the Round Rock Donuts guy. And I had like one funny take where we lose, and I'm like, oh. And then they liked me so much they made me a ranger. Then they made me an FBI guy. And then they kept going.
Stop. Really?
Yeah. So I'm the Round Rock Donuts guy, and then a ranger, like in a bunch of scenes with Walker through like half of a season. And then they bumped me up to FBI. And then at some point, a director rotates back around and comes in and says, "Well, he can't be FBI. He's a ranger." And I go,
Actually, I'm a donut guy.
that's what I'm saying. But the transition from donut guy to elite Texas law enforcement, that's a smooth transition.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think, isn't that the what's the word I'm looking for? The career path, or the
Upward mobility.
the pipeline. The pipeline for law enforcement is they just get donut shop workers
I will say this: we're not about
and
to
recruit
catch
them.
any school shooters ever if we're continuing to use donut shop guys as law enforcement.
No.
But then what my point was, then I got an HBO show called Love and Death that's on right now. And it was only like a couple episodes, but it was like 3 long, grueling weeks of shooting this courtroom stuff with true story about a murder in Dallas. And dude, how toxic it made me. Like that little feeling of like, oh, this is gonna be big for me. Oh shit.
Just the
Oh,
whole scene, you got sucked in, yeah?
dude, it's gross.
You were like, well, I could ditch this podcast pretty soon because all this TV and film money is going to start rolling in.
Oh my
That's what
God.
it was, right?
I was literally going up
Yeah.
until the writer show. I was literally like, well, just any minute now, we'll get the call. So,
Dude, they just jammed it, not even in your arm vein. They went straight for your jugular and just jammed it right in your jugular and slowly press that plunger
oh
and
my,
watch your eyes get all dilated and a big fat smile come across your face.
dude. So I thought I started drinking my own Kool-Aid and shit. And then it's been a really interesting experience of being like, hey, it was a bit part. There's a writer's strike. Like, get back out there doing stand-up again. Like you can't live off that because you'll never have any kind of creative control. We'll say, donut guy, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you realized your Kool-Aid was poop flavored Kool-Aid.
I wish.
You were like, oops.
It was dirty tampon Kool-Aid.
Oh.
My dog loved it.
Poop Kool-Aid.
Oh, you can't act offended wearing an Aggie hoodie.
I'm not offended. I'm grossened. It was an offense.
I'm still holding out for I would like to say this while we're on air.
Yeah.
Someday I would love to open for you. Obviously smoke weed with you again. Introduce you to Tara, and then number 4, get this Coach Galyon project off the fucking air because you're going to need a good assistant coach.
Let's write a script, man. Let's write a spec script.
Or
no, I'm sorry, it'd be a pilot script. A spec script is for a show that already exists.
Talk about a couple comics who aren't in the business. You're like, wait, what are we doing? Dude, we're coming out to see you May 19th, May 20th, Cap City Comedy.
One show each night at 8:00. None of these 2 shows. That's not for me. That's for the internet famous people.
You don't have time for
that. Have way more followers.
You got a murder case to solve down here.
I ain't going anywhere near Rady Street, homie. Are you kidding me? That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I called it. And I'm going to keep calling it when I'm there during those 2 shows.
You're like, buy Zoom from Brooklyn as soon as I get out of Dodge.
Yeah, man.
I've got to say, Tara's darkest theory is that it's our landlord who lives next door.
Wait, where do you guys live?
In a perfectly fine neighborhood off Duval and Mopac. But our landlord he's a single guy. He plays sand volleyball down there, and he's never at home the Saturdays where those reports come in.
Well, first off, it's clearly a gay dude.
Why? What makes you say that?
Because it's not because it is a bunch of dudes that are killed. There's not a single woman in that list of killed people.
Not one.
Yeah, I think it's a gay dude. I think it's a closeted gay dude who's so angry with what he's doing that he has to murder these people to make himself feel clean and feel good about it. He was repressed. Grew up obviously in a Southern Baptist home with some strict parents.
Oh my
And
God,
why does it have to always be like?
Trey,
Why,
what if he was in your fucking class at Hyde Park?
that's a possibility. I mean, I don't know how many of those dudes are still kicking around town. I mean, there's got to be a couple of them. Most of them are not. Most of them don't live in Austin anymore.
You're like, they went on to very successful lives. They wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, they got out of Austin when the getting was good.
I do love the idea that Leslie has taken a new identity. I like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Or so maybe it's like the old owners of the Chain Drive. We still got to find out if Chain Drive is still around.
I'll testify to this on the stand. As far as my knowledge, it's Craig Abbott.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Puts on a fake mustache because they're never deep in the water. He just kind of dumps them right there on the side.
Really?
Yeah, they never find them like in the middle of the lake and have to go get them.
Right. See, that's the other weird thing. So they're not taking a lot of time to try to dispose of the body.
No, they found there floating by like people like my folks who are just doing the morning, all those older couples who do the walk around the trail in the morning after Joe's coffee. And
I mean, how do you slip somebody in there with all there's always something going on around there, between the old people walking early in the morning and then all the paddle boarders the rest of the day. And then, yeah, I don't know.
I'm starting to think these paddle boarders are up their own ass and not paying attention to life.
Well, it's because they don't have to on Town Lake.
I don't know. It's an open case. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today. Trey Galyon, one of the greatest guests that's ever graced this podcast. I can tell.
Wow, that's got to be a low bar then, dude.
Well, I had Jerry Miner last week. Abbott Elementary doing very well.
Yeah.
He's super sweet to me on camera, and then when I follow up with a text, he says, "New white friend, who dis?"
Nice.
I've tried to have Andrew Wester come on, but he filed a restraining order. I'm trying to think
on you.
My fists.
Manos de Piedros.
I go, hey, we're having a new talk show. It's called Lefty and Righty. Just want to catch up on where you're at these days. And now I'm trying to think who else we had. Do you know who Mark McKinnon? I'll tell you who's been a great guest to us. Mark McKinnon. Do you ever watch the show The Circus on Showtime? It's a political
documentary. Oh, totally.
He's got the big cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Dude, he's been so good to Tara and I. He'll come on and he'll get open about. Turns out he led like a huge protest in the late 70s at UT for like some Iranian kid was arrested on UT campus at a frat party because the Iran hostage scandal was going on. And they were like, just take him. And Mark was the head of the Daily Texan, and he started this whole movement that like got him out of jail and paid for his fees and tells us.
Were you talking about back in the 80s?
Yeah, when he was in college there in the late 70s.
Yeah. You're talking about the reason why Ronald Reagan got elected, because they painted Jimmy Carter to be such a weenie during that whole thing.
Well, I had a secret plan.
I mean, it was straight up like
they fucked Carter bad.
Dude, Trump is such a Reagan hack. Yeah, because that's all they did. They just called Jimmy Carter a big wimp. Yeah, and also Ted Kennedy ran that year out of spite, just like his nephew is now. Did you hear Bobby Kennedy Jr. is running for president against Biden in the primary? Yeah. What is it, dude? I mean, just wait. That's like why or don't run against him in the primary. Run as a third party, right? Yeah, and then everybody can have that awesome third party voting debate that always works out well. It always goes down smooth. I've got to ask you though, Trey. I saw you say, I know we just wrapped it up, but now I'm interested. You said something with Greg Proops and Doug Benson where you said, for some reason, kids my age, I say kids, I'm in my late 30s, we've checked out of voting, and I think Gen X always kind of stepped up and will at least fucking vote, knowing
what the repercussions were. So with Trump running again, I hate this dichotomy we've got ourselves into where Obama's got a Netflix deal. God bless him. Joe is doing about as well as an 85-year-old man can do. And then Trump is trying to somehow come back. I mean, I don't know. I know the younger candidates I like who aren't candidates right now, like Gavin. I think Gavin Newsom, it looks like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho in California. I think he's fucking ready to go. I'm still holding out for Tom Hanks, but you're a good guy. You guys used to fucking get shit done.
Yeah, it's just that whole, I don't know. I mean, like, I have a whole thing with voting.
Please tell the kids.
Yeah, well, it's because it's a bit that I've been doing. I think it's on the last album, maybe, but it's like I write in
on the Moronic if you want to go find it.
Is it on there?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's on there or the live at but either way, you'll hear me do the newest version of it. On May 19th and 20th at the Red Room in Cap City. But yeah, it's like I vote for my friends because it's like, and I have friends that get upset with me about it because of it's the same as the third party thing. They're like, well, you just threw your vote away. And it's like, no, I'm the only one that actually used it properly because I got to sit here and listen to all you idiots talk about, voting for the lesser of two evils, or, that's like, well, you have to vote for one of them. And it's like, no, you don't. They still give you a write-in spot. And if we all did that and made a statement that way, so I feel like I'm the only one that's doing it properly. The rest of yous are getting duped. So have fun with that. Like, what's changed? Tell me what's changed. Keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's not going to change because that's what they want. That's the game they want you to play. Right. So keep playing it, dum-dums.
As a Philly kid, and I'm sure you had older uncles from Pennsylvania. Does Joe strike you as that curmudgeon Philly dude?
Biden?
Yeah.
No, and he's from Delaware.
Oh, okay. No, I mean he reps Scranton. He always, he lived right. He tries to straddle it.
He's from Delaware.
Do you like? I guess what I'm getting at is do you like Joe and what he's doing at all? I mean, Lord knows.
No, because what has he done? He hasn't rolled anything back. He hasn't
he's had to clean up Trump
he hasn't held pharmaceutical companies accountable. He hasn't lowered the defense budget.
Those are the two big issues that it's going to take our generation's JFK to stand up to.
Right, and they're going to immediately get shot like JFK because that's how powerful the military-industrial complex and pharmaceutical companies
Were you ever a Bernie guy?
Yeah, totally. But that's the other problem is like, okay, so first off, I'm an independent, which in Texas, I could vote in primaries. Up here, I can't.
Really?
Right. So I have
primary only. You have to wait.
I have to wait till the general election before I can vote. So that was the problem for me, was like I was pulling for Bernie because I was like, I will surely vote for Bernie for president. Just as my support. I knew Bernie, if he did get elected president, he would be killed very quickly. Or you'd see a change in Bernie.
It would have been bad to filter fish. He always bummed me out because being from Vermont, he never had to work with anybody. He didn't know how to sit down in a meeting. Do you know what I mean? Like he had built such his little world that I don't know that he really truly knew how to work with different factions.
Well, do you think? Well, or
not
do you
that
think
Biden
it's
was
the different? Or do you think that it's the different factions refused to work with him, and so he did the best that he could, considering he is? If people don't, if people don't realize he's an independent, he ran on the Democratic primary because he realized, just like Trump did with picking the Republicans, that his best option for getting elected president would be to go that route and not stay an independent. Correct. Right. So that people that. Yeah, people that don't realize that are idiots. That the only reason Trump picked to be a Republican, which is what he did, was because he knew that was his best chance at getting elected president. He went up against Hillary in a Democratic primary.
Right, exactly.
Right, that wasn't going to happen. So he full on jumped like, I'm a Republican now, really, after you've given a ton of money to all these. Okay.
Everybody. I mean, he maxed out to Clinton and Hillary. I mean, everybody. All.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. And fair enough across the board, but also main contributor to a lot of Democratic
big time.
politicians.
Schumer and I mean, big time.
Yeah.
But it was tremendous. It's me. It's Abe Lincoln, Dwight Eisenhower. We're all here.
It's follow the money, people.
You know what? I just heard Bill Maher pitch something. He had Dr. Phil on, and he was trying to convince Dr. Phil to get into the Democratic primary as a moderate Democrat. And Bill Maher's argument was, you have the same TV background, if not more than you have more red state approval and more TV, balls to swing around than Trump ever had. And Dr. Phil straight up was like, Bill Maher, you go fuck yourself. I'm never doing that.
Well, it's it's this whole Trump dynamic now that is popped up and people and like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, when people are like, well, how could somebody like her get elected? You got to remember who she's representing. And those are the people voting for. It's not like the whole nation got to vote on
Lauren
that.
Boebert's just as bad.
Right. Same thing. And then that's why it's going to be really interesting to see next time Ted Cruz comes up for election, whether or not the people in Texas decide to vote for him again. Because I mean,
see who he's running against? He now has an opponent. It's Congressman Colin Allred from Dallas. He used to play for the Falcons and the 49ers. And he's already a 3-term congressman. He's a Democrat. And
this guy might have a shot, dude.
I think he brought in $6 million in his first day.
Dude, because the funniest thing to me is watching the clips of Ted Cruz roll through his hometown's World Series parade and people throwing shit at him and booing him aggressively.
Dude, throwing White Claws like me on a Sunday afternoon in a fit.
Awesome. Like, I couldn't have been more proud of Houston in that moment. Just like, I stand with you, Houston.
It made me an Astros fan.
Oh, word. Yeah.
I think that's.
I mean, if you get a big one, what is it gonna be? You gonna root for the Rangers? Really?
No, I'm a Cubs fan, so my heart's here. I'm riding out this year with the Lakers against Colorado. They bought a good team at the very last minute.
Well, that's the interesting. So, because you grew up in Austin,
yeah.
So now, how did you determine your sports allegiances? Are your parents from other places?
No. Well, nowhere good. My mom's from a small town of 200 people in Northwest Texas. My dad grew up on military bases.
Okay.
My dad's biggest sports claim to fame was he's 12, and they took over the all-pro NFL team to Okinawa to meet the troops. And it was Staubach and Ahmad Rashad were the two that went to meet the kids. And I immediately, like, as a 10-year-old, was like, so Dad, you catch passes from Roger Staubach? He was like, no, they wouldn't let Staubach throw any passes. So my buddy threw me passes while Ahmad Rashad played quarter on me.
Oh my gosh.
No, so I became a Lakers fan because my uncle was a big deal basketball coach in Dallas for many years, and he was raised on the Magic Kareem Lakers.
Okay.
What could go wrong? No bad times with that team. So I was like the only second grader getting in the car that my mom had to pull the car over in the middle of the carpool and be like, the other 3 of you children won't understand this, but Sam, Magic has somehow came down with the HIV virus. And we'll know that. And I'm like, nah. And the other kid's like, who? Magic is gone? What's wrong with Magic? So I'm a big Lakers fan. I've wrote it out with them. But then I Dale Dudley convinced me, to tie it all up, that I had a shot at SNL. Now, just like most kids missing a father figure, and used another drunk father figure to fill in, I believed him. And I went to Second City and I tried to do all the Second City stuff, and I miserably failed at improv. I ended up as a middle act at Laugh Factory, the Laugh Factory in Chicago. Got power played by James Masada when I walked in for my interview, and he was all like, "Okay, Mr. Letterman, I'm going to hang up with you now. I have Sam Slade in here. Okay, goodbye." And when he hung up, I already hear the ma 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 ma.
Is that for real?
Yeah, it's all real. Yeah. So I was a big Cubbies fan, and then I came back here and got back into politics. Well,
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize you did the whole Second City thing.
Oh yeah, I thought, boy, I'm. You guys get ready.
Well, you do. Look, you have a pretty decent
They're not
Trump.
interested in the fat drunk guy anymore. They said we've done it.
Dude, you have a pretty good Trump, and I bet you would do a killer Alex Jones too.
Well, I gotta tell you right
Do
now.
you do an Alex
I've done a
Jones?
few of them, and I gotta
Oh,
tell
here
you
we go.
now, here's the deal right now. What's going on in Texas? What's going on in Texas? No, hang on. I want to finish. What's going on in Texas right now is that there is a systematic decision to break down the family structure. And I will finish. Forward, line 9. I will say right now, vitamins right now on sale 2 for 1. Follow in right now if you're interested.
There you go.
Donald Trump is the savior. He's the only one who can help us. We'll be right back after this.
Dude, people don't, and this is another thing people don't know that aren't from Austin or live there for a long time or at the right time. We all used to listen to Alex Jones,
dude,
because it was so fun and entertaining, and it wasn't what it is now. People don't understand.
It was harmless.
Yeah. It was a few conspiracy theories, but then it was because he didn't pick sides then. It was no matter who was president, he was making fun of them, and he was talking about all politicians on both sides. And then his show slowly started to change into like a big infomercial. And then I remember
big sponsors. We got big. I mean, we're just trying to.
When he started back in Trump, it was just like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, you're actually picking a side here?
One of the best, my favorite thing ever, and it should probably be my one-man show, is right now on the line, we have Republican nominee for president right now, Donald Trump on the phone, and the Honorable Donald J. Trump on the phone. Alex, I've got to tell you, it's so tremendous, and he's on like a cell phone from somewhere, so it's all scratchy. I got to tell you, it's tremendous to be on the show talking to all these truthers, people who they want to get to the bottom of it. Too often, DC, they don't want to get to the bottom of it. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to find it. We're going to figure out who. Mr. Trump, I got to ask you right now, I've never been to Austin, always wanted to go to Austin, never been. And you're going like, that was when the fucking evil did its fucking handshake. I mean, I don't know if you did it, but we would stay up late to prank call Alex's show when it was on Austin Cable Access.
We wouldn't prank call it. We'd watch it. We'd call into Charlie Sottelo's show with no name.
Show with no name was great.
Yeah.
What about Old Biddy? Do you remember Old Biddy with the clown mask?
No.
The mic hung. At one point, he met me and my buddy Dewan at KLBJ function, had us co-host, and got really mad because we like took over the show. So this ICP dude's like, "Hey, can I get a word in?" And we're like, "No, man, you told us you wanted us to guest host."
Dude, I did a couple of call-in shows on Access like before I even did comedy. I want to say it was like my early 20s, and I don't remember even now the situation that led into it.
It was just that black curtain and like that doctor's office phone.
Yes, yeah.
Do you remember when you're of age to remember? Nice way to say you're older than me. Do you remember what? That's right, baby. I lie to people and tell them I'm Gen X when I got the gray in my beard. Do you remember when Alex infiltrated fucking Bohemian Grove and we're like, this dude figured it out?
Well, sure. That was the big thing, you know? That was his claim to fame at that time, was sneaking into Bohemian Grove. And then you find out, maybe he didn't really sneak in, and maybe security wasn't as tight as
maybe he knew a guy from college.
Right.
But do you think, I think he did do, up until the Trump thing, he did do some good as far as opening our eyes to some fucked up shit.
Yeah, because even that Bohemian Grove shit, that was like you're sitting there watching it, being like, "Oh no, okay, no, this does happen. Like these guys do this, And then you find out all the people that are involved in it, and you're like, that's a crazy list of people, And so
Nixon used to
that
use
some of
together.
this is going on, right? Yeah. Nixon, but then like over the years, like Harry Shearer, and some of that
Harry
whole
Shearer went
crew.
just to check it out.
Well, of course, like why wouldn't you? But
Right.
I mean, that's the roots of it. I mean, it's called Bohemian Grove because it was all these just like bohemian counterculture people in San Francisco that would go out into the woods, and then it turned into this, rich people thing. And
I think they played it pretty interesting on House of Cards at one point. But no, there's something else. I remember the same time I was doing open mics when you were like the cool senior class, Cap City. My dad was fucking Charlie Hodges' girlfriends. I remember
so good too.
oh,
That's so Austin too.
so great.
It's like kind of trailer park. What?
We were like, is my dad still here? And he's in like a Pacino suit because he was like this big time trial attorney. And he's all like, nah, man, I had to take her home. She's getting a little restless. But when Alex dropped the VHS of the first 9/11 video, I think anyone who smoked a bowl or a joint and watched that first 9/11 Inside Job video that was passed around on VHS, that was fucking fascinating because you weren't hearing that anywhere else.
No, it was, I mean, from the jump, it was like, well, this was the terrorists and the terrorists and the terrorists. And then you start finding out, and then you start finding out all these little details. And I think it just did it opened the door to where you're like, yeah, okay, all these guys were on watch lists. How did they get in the country in the first place? Then you start seeing all the security of videos of them coming through airports with no problem. And then
the next day, they all
these
get
guys took
out. Who's left?
yeah, and signed up and took flight classes while being on a terrorist watch list and everything else. And you're just like, okay, well, maybe there's something to this.
You're like, I know I'm real stoned, but I've got a couple follow-ups. The one thing that always blew my mind was that there was a drill set for that same day of that situation.
Well, dude, and the other stuff too. Like, so I was out in San Diego at the time. My folks had just moved out to Oceanside.
God bless the Galyons.
Yeah.
There.
So I'm in Oceanside. I'm actually supposed to fly back to Austin on the morning of September the 11th.
No way.
Yeah. And
they would have diverted
that
that flame, dude. You would have. You would have had to be like, let's roll.
I mean, there's no doubt. Luckily, yeah, we were on the West Coast, so we didn't, long before my mom came in and was like, "Hey, man, you're not leaving today." And so 4 days, but so I tell you that to tell you this. So one of my mom's friends, her son was in the Navy, stationed on the Stennis at the time, big aircraft carrier. And so we were supposed to go, and he was going to give us a tour of the boat. And right before I got into town, he was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, they just called us out for some special training thing. So we're not going to be in port,
But this is before it happened.
This is right before 9/11 happened.
There's so
then you're like, yeah, there's just a lot of weird coincidences and things like that.
Isn't it our generation's JFK, right? Like,
yeah, man, you got to keep the military-industrial complex going. We need a new war to fight. Because we need to justify. We need to have a reason why we're throwing all this money at these people,
right? While we're taking so much
of
the congressional budget and putting it not towards helping people.
Right. Putting it towards these people, making them money so they can turn around and give us money to keep regulations and laws in place to make sure that they.
But I always thought the biggest piece of evidence towards what you're saying is Project for a New American Century. It was a think tank run by Condoleezza Rice. Tell me if you've heard these names: Condoleezza Rice, Dick Cheney, Paul Wolfowitz, Donald Rumsfeld, a few others, and a year almost.
Kissinger's not in there.
Who?
Anyway, Kissinger.
I think he had like honorable mention. He like brought orange slices at halftime. He was the one being like, very good project. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, but they almost a year to the day, like early September 2000, still during the campaign, they put out a paper saying we needed a Pearl Harbor event involving the Middle East to allow us to go. And my closing argument to that would be if you watch Journeys with George on HBO, the documentary about hanging out with W when he's running for president, it is the most fun buddy comedy you can ever imagine. He is so far beyond anything Carell could have done as Michael Scott on The Office, and he is the most fucking fun ever, and sweet and compassionate. And the woman doing the documentary is Pelosi's daughter, and he's taking care of her, making sure that this dude isn't making her uncomfortable, hitting on her, and like all this shit. And then they pick Dick Cheney to be running mate, and they never see W again in the documentary.
Oh wow. Yeah, man, if you don't know by now, like stop hating on W. He had nothing to do with any of that. He was doing what his daddy said.
He was trying to make his dad proud. I mean,
yeah, man, he was saying what his dad's people were telling him to say and just doing what his dad said. He didn't want to be president. He didn't, and any one of you could say no, but you would go have a beer with him and have a good time. Like I would love to go drinking with W some night.
Trey, can I paint your picture?
Fuck yeah, you can, George W. Bush.
I'm gonna
Gladly.
I think I'm gonna use oils and watercolors.
Yeah, that's fine. Can I smoke weed while we're doing it?
Yeah, I want to capture the best Trey you can give me.
Yeah, well, that's high.
Dude, isn't that so amazing? His guilt that he's obviously human because he realizes how fucked he took this country by listening to people he thought he could trust. I mean, an apology to some extent, but then at the end he gets into painting because he goes, well, Churchill did it after the war.
Way to try to class it up, dude.
I think he had no hobby his whole life other than competing with his dad. And then he starts smoking cigars and painting because he's like, well, that's what Churchill did. Fuck off.
Yeah, man. Look, don't hate on W, no matter what political party you're in.
What'd you think of before we roll? I go back and forth. I worked on both Obama campaigns, 2008 in Ohio and Cincinnati, and 2012 at like the headquarters in Chicago because they were, Second City was like, you're not funny. Go work for the man. But now I feel like the shit he's producing for Netflix is a direct appeal to the aliens to not fuck us up.
That Obama is?
Yeah, like Obama hosted a nature show about all the national parks across the world. And it's him barefoot walking through tides. It's him being like, here are creatures you never even knew about. Don't fuck us up. I'll talk to him before you get here.
That guy is slick, ain't he? I mean, they called Slick Willie, but Obama took it to a whole nother level. Like, I mean, Obama is pretty incredible. He was born in Africa.
I'm fine with it.
Amazing. Yeah. Yes, totally. Yeah, Obama is probably the best game player
we've ever seen.
We've had as president in a long time. Because again, it's like everybody can say whatever they want, love or hate or whatever. But the people that still just, I think it's people love him for the wrong reason. Because just look at his bank account. He got paid by the same people that every other president has gotten paid by.
Wall Street, when he leaves.
Yeah. But to have, like, I remember even that first speech he gave at the Democratic National Convention before he was running for president. And my dad even, who's, was a
old Philly guy,
ordained Baptist minister, very right-leaning Republican. I'd have great conversations with him, but he still was what he was. But I remember him even after that speech being like, yo, have you seen this Barack Obama dude? Yeah.
Well, that was the no red state, no blue state.
Is that the one it was?
Yeah, when Kerry picked him like on a whim.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Boy, we dodged a bullet with
the guy's
Kerry.
incredible public speaker, very likable. You know, tells people what they want to hear, and then don't do anything.
He's my number one when the aliens show up. I mean, they're here, but when it's time to sit down, I think that's my number one to have the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
send him in. Yeah.
Look,
because it ain't gonna be Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk going. I
relate to those guys. Look, I know you traveled a long way from Zeta Reticuli.
Right.
My parents used to live far away too. Also,
how is Saturday Night Live not calling right now?
Oh, quit it. Oh,
I'm serious.
Because it's dead. Stop it. Don't. Please. Please. And I want you to know, if I ever got the opportunity to open for you, I wouldn't do any of this noise. This is a waste. Unless you really need it.
That up twice now. Maybe in the fall, dude.
Oh, yeah. No,
this is the problem with Austin is like, I got so many people that I like working with there.
No. You got
that's usually how it works out, is like I mean, that one show I did, in the middle of the pandemic where I was just like, well, I'm not even going to headline this thing. All I'm going to do is, since none of us have been able to do comedy, just book 7-8 of the people that have been in Austin a while and put them on the show.
They're great comics here, and I absolutely respect them, and it's bigger than it's ever been. Also, I'm going to let everybody know Trey Gaylon supports me in blackface doing Obama on SNL.
Whoa.
Is that not what you said? You said SNL's calling? What? How about I'll do it like Chevy did Gerald Ford, where I won't dress up, and they'll just be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Barack Obama."
No, you do it like a reverse Bob Newhart phone thing, where you can hear the person on the phone, and it's Barack Obama.
Oh, okay, and I do both.
Yeah. Oh, pre-record it. Pre-record the responses.
Here's the good news. Lauren isn't calling asking us.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But Trey Gaylon, we didn't mean to go so long. I can't believe you entertained me.
We did. How long has it been? Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's go.
No, I mean, you're in New York, right?
People stopped listening a long time ago.
Well, we're not live.
Yeah.
We're not even live, so don't worry. This is all pre-tape.
No, I'm saying if they were listening, they're not listening anymore. If you've made it all the way to the end, God bless you, and I will hug you.
Here's why they made it to the end. Because we fucking battled local problems, we battled national problems, and we battled fucking galactic problems here today. We found solutions for all of them.
Man, we talked about a lot of stuff for sure.
We started it in a little school called Hyde Park when they wanted a tackle who could block from the backside.
Way back then.
Man.
Those were good times. I mean, 2 hours ago, not high school. High school was fine, but look, not the best years.
No, this was way better. Anyways, I want to ask you not to go down to Rainy Street while you're in town.
I mean, I may during the day just to take a picture, But trust me, I will be talking about it on stage. What's that?
Take somebody with you. Not trying to live that article.
Dude.
Also, academically successful. We may have a loophole in the murder strategy.
Dude, we gotta. I mean, I still want to work on this profile for this murderer.
No,
we'll do that.
Yeah. I think we should start at what's making a murderer together about the Austin serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
APD are not going to find the guy. Somebody else is going to find him.
No, it's going to have to be like Dateline. Like literally Keith Morrison with a knife in his hand in a dive bar.
In Waller Creek.
Oh. Well, they found him at Emo's off of East Riverside. They said he was out for a night of laughs. Prior to that, he had gone to see Trey Gaylon, touring comedian. Oh, no, he came to your show. Oh, he was there. Because you know what? There are so many targets at your show. I'm coming out May 19th. I'm coming out May 19th and May 20th just to fucking make sure this fucking dude doesn't get to you.
I appreciate that.
Also, if you put me on the guest list, that'd be dopes.
Yeah, man. You just get, yeah. You just
No,
have to
we can figure it out. So
accept that.
I'll totally
Yeah.
I'll just send you an email or something.
Oh, at the place that banned you won't let you in for free.
I
You can't
came
just walk
back.
up and be like, "Hey, I'm a comedian."
Hey guys, this is new ownership. And I promise you don't want me to drop Margie's name because these investment bankers who bought it, is she here?
Yeah, I haven't asked Chandy just because it hasn't come up, but I mean, I don't
They
know
got bought by
how
Helium,
involved
didn't they?
Margie is. Like, yeah, the Helium guys, I don't know if they full on took it over or bought them out or,
Marjorie has
are
nothing to do. I know
are paying them to.
she refuses to have them take down the sign at the old place.
What?
It's still up.
Oh, that may just be just because somebody hasn't rented the old place yet.
Well, like twice a week she posts something about like I built this.
Stop.
Get on
Margie
Facebook. Get
does?
on Facebook. I don't say
No, I'm not on Facebook.
I ran track for her husband, Coach Coyle. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
man.
he's lying.
R.I.P., dude.
He was boy, I'll tell you what, hottest fucking dude in the 80s ever, maybe.
Oh
That
man.
blonde fucking he was, you know what he was? He was a sexier goose.
Yeah, that was a sad one, dude.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
Trey, I'm
thanks,
glad we
man.
got to end it on a high note.
For real, huh?
I'm so glad. Hey, will you come back on later on?
Yeah, whatever.
This is fun, man. We really let's go deep into crazy shit next time. It won't be so formal. This is
Yeah,
so much
man. I'll watch some more documentaries and stuff, and yeah, get all jazzed up.
good. I'll send you all kinds of weird shit. May 19th and 20th, Cap City, 8 o'clock shows both nights.
Red Room. Yep.
The
Eagle
Red Room.
Room.
I
Eagle
know
Room.
Tara and I will be there. We'll be on the guest list. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, dude. Why do you keep bringing it up? We could talk. Just, let's not talk about it in front of everybody and make everybody else feel bad.
dude,
Oh, or are you pulling like a flex? Are you trying
no,
to
dude,
flex
I'm
on your
worried. Dude,
listeners
I'm
right
worried
now?
that I have to go down to some baby shower at fucking Rainy Street tomorrow night and end up face down with Kurt Watson saying he
That's your
never heard
problem,
of me.
dude. Telling you, stay away from Rainy Street, people.
Ladies,
Although, don't need to say that now.
this has been Weirdos at Home with Trey Galyon. Hang on a second. I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I don't know. I don't know how to stop.